Welcome. I am your host and functional health practitioner, Kieran. And today we are talking about cycle tracking 101 and how this can transform your hormones and your health. So let us get right into it today in terms of the four phases of your cycle. What does that look like? Why tracking your cycle is so important, symptoms, and how tracking can help with the symptoms that you're experiencing throughout your cycle, whether that is migraines or breast tenderness or dips in your energy. And then we're going to learn the best practices for tracking. So let's get right into it. I had my own journey when it comes to my hormones and supporting that. And tracking my cycle is one of the best things that I did for myself. And I'm going to share why in this video. Let's start off with a quick high level overview of the stages of your cycle because, ladies, we are not just on or off our period. We are in one of four stages, one or four phases all of the time. And so, day one of your cycle, when you are tracking, is day one of your period, and this is your menstrual phase. This window is typically 4 to 7 days long. If fertilization doesn't happen, then the corpus luteum breaks down. This causes a drop in progesterone and estrogen levels. And this hormonal shift is what causes the shedding of the uterine lining, which leads to menstruation, or better known as your period. Note that if you are on something like hormonal birth control, the bleed that you experience every single month is a chemical withdrawal bleed. This occurs because of a drop in hormone levels, particularly estrogen and progesterone. And this happens when you stop taking the active hormonal pills during that week. So you're not actually getting your period, you're getting what is called a chemical withdrawal bleed. Each of our four phases of our cycle also represent a season. And so for your menstrual phase, this is your winter. This is the time of rest, reflection. And I have a whole playlist on cyclesyncing where I go deeper into each phase and the nutrition associated with that as well, along with movement. So the second phase we're going to go over briefly is your follicular phase. Right after your period ends, the follicular phase connects menstruation and the main event of your cycle, which is ovulation. A lot of people think that the main event is your period, but in fact, it is actually ovulation. And so this begins after your period ends and it takes us into ovulation. Your follicular phase is typically 10 to 14 days long. And during this phase, what your body is doing is it starts to prepare for a potential pregnancy by increasing estrogen, which stimulates the growth of follicles in the ovaries, with one maturing into an egg to be released at ovulation. So you'll likely feel that you have more energy during this phase of your cycle, and higher intensity movements can feel very supportive for you at this time. As for seasons, this is going to represent your spring, bringing new growth, preparation, renewal, that rise in energy, mental clarity. You might find that your creativity is a lot higher at this time in your cycle. Now, the ovulatory phase, the pinnacle of your cycle, the main event, marking the release of a mature egg from the ovary. Shortest phase of your cycle, typically 2 to 4 days long, but it's the key moment where conception can occur. And so during this time, your estrogen levels peak, triggering a surge in luteinizing hormone LH, which causes the egg to be released from the dominant follicle. Excuse me. You may feel more energized, social. You're feeling really sexy, confident at this point of your cycle. Your body is primed to be looking for a mate. As for seasons, this is your summer. This is the height of the year, the time of high energy, confidence, social connection, and it's when your body is most fertile. And our final phase is your luteal, the final stretch of your cycle, which leads up to your next period, typically 10 to 14 days long, during which your body produces more progesterone to support a potential pregnancy. And so if no pregnancy occurs, then your progesterone levels drop, signaling the body to prepare for menstruation. So you might notice a shift in energy during this time. A lot of women will report migraines during this time of their phase, and also a preference for more calming activities, self care practices. That in particular may feel especially nourishing. And as for what season this would correlate with, this would be your autumn slash your fall, a time of harvest preparation for winter. And when you're tracking, this is ultimately going to prepare you to have a easier, more supportive luteal phase. Because here's the thing. This is why tracking is important. When you track your cycle, you're not just following your period, you're keeping tabs on how your body responds to different hormonal shifts all month long. And so, symptoms that tracking addresses include irregular periods. So, you can see what your typical cycle length looks like. Where are you having fatigue and energy dips during the month? Are you having mood swings? Is it in your luteal phase? Is it in your follicular phase? What does that pattern look like? PMS. When is acne popping up? Is it leading to the days leading up to your actual period? This is all information for us. And so what are the benefits of actually tracking, taking the time to notice when you're having these patterns and being able to write them down? Because there are many. And the first is improved energy and productivity. You can align your activities with your cycle. This isn't always the case in a very 9 to 5, 24/7 world that we live. But when we know what our cycle's looking like, we can plan bigger life events accordingly. We can plan when we want to do our creative tasks. We can shift our movement to be more supportive, reducing the burnout, reducing the exhaustion, and also supporting an overall fantastic mood throughout the month. Better symptom management. You'll notice patterns like if PMS strikes the same time every cycle, the same way. Now you can prepare for that symptom and manage it before it hits. This is also going to help with hormonal imbalances. So, by tracking your symptoms, you can identify particular imbalances, potential ones, and what your triggers are before they can become bigger issues down the line. So, is it heavy periods? Is it painful cramps? Is it hormonal acne? Is it a combination? Now you know what you can do to address these. And this is empowering you ultimately to make healthier decisions, choices, workouts, self care, optimizing it for the cycle you're in. And you'll get the hang of it because it can sound very overwhelming at first, but it gets easier, I can assure you. So, the part of the video you've been waiting for is how to start with tracking your cycle. I recommend using an app. You can also use paper. I prefer using an app. And so some great options can look like Clue, Flow, Natural Cycles, or a simple pen and paper tracker. But here's what you're actually going to be tracking. You're going to track your cycle length. So, was my last cycle 28 days? Was this month before that 35 days? Did I miss a cycle? A month? Did I miss my period? Was it pushed by a month? What are my symptoms like? This looks like your energy, your mood, your skin, your digestion. And often in the apps, there will be prompts for you to sort of track what's your level of breast tenderness? What is your irritability in terms of your mood look like? And so you're able to track that. And basal body temperature and cervical mucus, I actually have a whole video explaining how these help you to track your ovulation naturally. And so I'll leave a link down below for that. The biggest thing is that you need to be consistent. So track each night before bed, same time. And typically you'll start to notice patterns within 2 to 3 months. And so for me, tracking allowed me to see patterns in my cycle and then look back at my life to see what contributed to how I was feeling. I talk about it all the time. Your current period is a reflection of the last 90 days. So if something's showing up for you right now, if your period's a little delayed right now, what was happening in your life 3 months ago? And at the end of the day, whether you're working with a functional health practitioner like myself or not, this information allows you to be your own health detective. And when you do work with someone, you have concrete data that you can share with them so that they're better able to support and help you. As always, I'm sending you so much love wherever you are. Outfit's a little different. I'm headed to a wedding event, but leave your questions in the comments below. Like this video so it can reach more women. And I'm sending you so much love wherever